What is going on, everybody? It's the France, and we are here for NXT review for May 16, 2018. NXT just got done airing. We had a great six-man tag match. You know, a lot of us in the wrestling community have complained about six-man tag matches being done to death on the main roster with the women, the men, and everything in between. But it's NXT, it's understandable, and it made sense. This six-man tag team match actually made sense. You had the Undisputed Era versus Pete Dunne and Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan, who, by the way, Danny Burch and Oney Lorcan have themselves a tag team intro now instead of just one coming out right after the other. So it looks like they are a legitimate tag team in NXT, and they are not going to be just jobber fodder like they were before, which is great because last year when they formed together into a makeshift tag team, they had so much potential to be a great tag team. Let's see here. We also had a beautiful opening segment with Tommasso Ciampa and Candice LeRae, and Tommasso Ciampa just being as much of a prick as he always is. WWE in the main roster doesn't know how to do a good heel, but in NXT we have the best heel in probably all of wrestling in Tommaso Ciampa. Also, Ricochet versus Velveteen Dream, which ended up in a clusterfuck at the end. We'll talk about that later. And Nikki Cross gives advice to a nice little Dakota Kai. Also, Lacey Evans faced off against an enhancement talent with new music, which is always a good thing. NXT again, cooking on all cylinders. Of course, this was the first of 5 weeks to go until we get to NXT TakeOver Chicago 2, which is going to be a great fucking show, as it always is. I am excited to see what these guys and girls do at NXT TakeOver. Of course, this was the first episode. You could tell when it is the first episode of a new set of tapings because the crowd is hot. They're on fire. The crowd has got a bunch of energy because they do usually tape 4 episodes in a row. So it kind of drains out when we get to the 4th week. We have 5 weeks this time, so I'm hoping they didn't do 5 in a row because that 5th week will be just dead as a doornail. I'm hoping they did 3 and 2, 3 one night and 2 the next night as tapings, because it won't be as bad. The 3rd taping won't be as bad as like a 4th taping would be. Maybe it's like instead of getting 2.5 shows that's like hot, the audience is hot, we're going to have 2.5 for the first 3, and then the 4th and 5th shows will be on hot on fire because they taped it for 2 days in a row instead of having 5 hours of wrestling, because we all know how bad that is. The show started off, and Johnny Gargano's music hit, and I'm like, Johnny's back already? Even Mauro Ranallo was like, oh, Johnny Wrestling has returned. No, out walks Tommaso Ciampa. And of course, Mauro Ranallo was like, I cannot be surprised how low this guy would get. He comes out, waves bye, and all that stuff, walks to the ring, and he gets heavily booed, says, everybody keeps saying Gargano won. He beat me. The fact is, he may have won the battle, but I will always win the war. That's why I'm here, and he's at home in a neck brace that I put him in. Piece by piece, I have broken him. I have broke his heart, his mind, his spirit. Now I broke his body. Johnny Wrestling is gone. I win. You tapped out chance, and out comes Candice LeRae. No music, no nothing. This is just damn real serious for her. Tommaso Ciampa looks perplexed, and she takes the mic from him. She asks, who are you? I used to think I knew you, but I don't recognize who you become. You're obsessed with ruining our lives. I don't know why. The only thing broken is you. He taunts her with the, hands to the face, like fake tears, like fake crying, like, oh, you're going to cry? You're going to have a little bit of tear in your eyes? Tommaso Ciampa is just a great fucking heel. And I just have a fear when it comes to Tommaso Ciampa when he comes up to the main roster that they're going to give him some shitty-ass music, they're going to change who he is, and he's not going to have that same specialness of being a heel that he has down in NXT. She says, I'm done trying to figure you out. You're a monster I will never forgive. While my husband may be uncertain, future may be uncertain, you will always know Johnny Gargano was better than you. And she drops the mic. Crowd goes, oh, like that. Oh, that thing, that nice little meme people like to put out. a Johnny Butters chant in the crowd. Tommaso Ciampa says, maybe he was better than me, but and I know that boy you call a husband is half the man I am. That's why he sent you out here instead of coming out to confront me. I did live with you for 2 years, and you always been a bigger man than he was. Just as soon as he says that, there's a oh chant, like a how dare you say that type of chant, and then you hear mess him up, Candice, mess him up, mess him up. Tommaso Ciampa says, yeah, Candice, mess me up, mess me up. You talked about your wedding. You know what I was thinking about the entire time? How on earth this woman possibly could be marrying a big, and she slaps him in the face. He couldn't even finish what he was going to say. I think he was going to say probably a big pussy or something. I have no idea. Candice slaps him. Ciampa just backs up. He has a smile on his face as he has his hand on his face, like she slapped me. I can't believe she actually slapped me. So she still has some balls. And he just waves bye as Candice leaves the ring. Ciampa off mic says, because every camera has a microphone on them when they're close by, says, "I win," as a crowd chants, "You suck." So the NXT again showing how to use the obligatory promo before the show, before a match segment, which always seems to open Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live. Right. This guy comes out to Johnny Gargano's music, taunting everybody, saying, haha, he's gone. He's not, like, why don't I use this music? Because Johnny Gargano's not going to use it again. This guy's done. I put him in a neck brace, and he's going to be gone and done forever. Candice comes out and just slaps him silly, I just hope Candice LeRae has something for her after this is all said and done. Since Candice LeRae has been in NXT this time, like on a full-time basis, she's been tangled up with this entire Johnny Gargano-Tommaso Ciampa story, which is fine. It is fine. I'm just hoping when this whole thing is said and done, and whatever they're going to do at TakeOver Chicago, because this is going to happen at TakeOver Chicago, and we had a match with Velveteen Dream and Ricochet for the supposed #1 contendership tonight, which we'll get into that in a minute, but when this is all said and done, and say we get to TakeOver Chicago, and that's the end of the feud, that's the blow-off match, which, quite honestly, I think I said this last week, this entire feud calls for a Hell in a Cell match. I know we're not going to see that at a TakeOver because that's a WWE product, but with Candice LeRae, is she going to become a force in the NXT Women's Division, or is she just going to be left to the wayside, and she was just brought in to help enhance the feud between Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa? This is NXT, so I'm probably overthinking this, but it's just something I've been thinking is like, she, other than having a match with Zelina Vega and then her match with Bianca Belair where she got crushed, she's been entwined with this feud between Tommaso and Johnny Gargano. So what are they going to do with her after? I know it's something we shouldn't be thinking about, but you got to think about it too. Is Candice LeRae do they have big plans for Candice LeRae after this feud? Because she's in this big prominent feud, and I hope they just don't let it all go to waste. We still have 4 weeks after this NXT until we get to Chicago, but it's just something that came up in my head, and I'm like, is this, what's going to happen with Candice after this? Because I'm sure Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa will, after this is done and over, I hope Johnny Gargano wins the NXT Championship, if not Tommaso Ciampa, and then they actually end the feud with Johnny Gargano winning the championship and Tommaso coming up with Johnny Gargano holding the title until NXT TakeOver New Brooklyn or whatever they're going to do next year. We also, let's see, Brandy Lauren versus Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans has music that is way better than that. Hello, whatever the fuck she had before. This seems a little bit more towards her. Looks like she's going through a character change. She's acting a little bit different. She's not doing the whole fancy lady thing coming down. She's being more of coming up, showing her muscle, like flexing on the ring apron. Looks like she's going through a character change. Of course, I believe it was 5-6 months ago when there was a new faction formed in NXT's live events with the Forgotten Sons, with Buddy Murphy, Chad Lay, not Buddy Murphy, the other one. Buddy Murphy's tag team partner. Buddy Murphy's former tag team partner, Chad Lay, aka Gunner, Lacey Evans, and I can't remember who the fourth guy was, but she was in that feud, that little faction that they made, of which I guess I heard was in this taping somewhere, that they're going to be making their debut, if it's only a dark match, whatever. But she came out with them in a cut-off T-shirt and shorts. So maybe they're starting to change her character, so when they come around, she'll add to them, and they can just, drop whatever she's doing right now. Evans she wins the match with her whatever her finisher is, but it was a squash match, and you figure she's gonna win. The talking point of this entire thing was after the match they had her pose a little bit more. I was like, okay, is Kairi Sane gonna retaliate? She starts walking to the back, and I'm like, oh, whatever. But they kept it on her, and she gets to about the top of the ramp, and all of a sudden Kairi Sane out of nowhere with the attack from behind. She does throw her into the ring, looks for the insane elbow, but Evans bails and heads to the back as Sane stands tall with doing her little telescope pose and everything. So it looks like we're going to get Kairi Sane versus Lacey Evans in the near future again. Black is outside the Full Sail when it was taped, walking outside Full Sail for the NXT shows. Asked about his show, and I'm pretty sure at this time he's probably like, man, I don't want to be in this hot weather, so I'm just going to go outside and walk. And I'm sure it was pretty cool when he had that video taped. He's asked about those two, like Ricochet and Velveteen Dream, declaring themselves number one contenders. He says, I learned a few things about being champion. You have a bigger target on your back. If it came down to me and the Velveteen Dream, the history book says it all. If it came down to me and Ricochet, you want to call yourself the one and only? Let's find out. I can't remember what else he said because I was trying to get everything typed up. And he just pretty much tells them that if you guys want to become number one contender, then you guys are going to have to prepare to pay the black, pretty much. Dakota Kai was asked about Nikki Cross, what was up with her last week. She says she has no idea what's up with her. Then she gets pretty much interrupted by Nikki Cross, who says, I have a question. She has a little phone thing. Ask her, when are you gonna face Shayna? When are you gonna face Shayna? When are you gonna fight your fears and stuff? And says, with fear comes opportunity. Face your fears and fight Shayna Baszler. And laughs as she walks off. So even though Jim McGinnis says it's like, I'm not one to take advice from Nikki Cross on to be sane and everything. So it looks like we're going to see Nikki Cross in the Women's Championship. Like Dakota Kai, it looked like Dakota Kai was going to get the NXT TakeOver match for the Women's Championship, but I think they'll have that on TV before we get to TakeOver, and it's going to be Nikki Cross versus Shayna Baszler for the NXT Women's Championship, and that's going to give Shayna Baszler at least an opponent before we get to Kairi Sane, probably at TakeOver in Brooklyn, where Kairi Sane will probably win the championship, because they are 1-1 between those two. Of course, Mae Young Classic for Kairi Sane, and Shayna Baszler won on a random episode of NXT. Velveteen Dream versus Ricochet. Velveteen Dream is out first, and he has, before Ricochet even comes out, it is a huge Velveteen Dream fan chance. These fans are hot for this dude. He is just white hot over. Then Ricochet comes out, and then the chants become dueling. First they go Ricochet for a few seconds, and they shake the Velveteen, and he goes back and forth. This match I was like trying to take notes, and I'm like, this is a Ricochet match. I've tried to take notes for a Ricochet match before for another reason, and it's just not possible. But I will say, this match came to an end when Ricochet and Velveteen Dream's heads collided. It sounded like two coconuts smacking against each other. That was nasty. I hope those two are okay. It looked like a big concussion. Then they start brawling they go straight across the way to the other side of the ring, and the crowd starts booing. They ain't happy about what's happening over there, and I'm like, well, what the hell, somebody getting a fight? No. Lars Sullivan comes in and splashes both men in the corner, beats them up, and freak accidents both of them. Crowd hated it. Crowd was pissed as fuck that he ruined this match that everybody wanted to see for like the last month and a half or two. Like, crowd was 100% pissed. So if you wanted Lars Sullivan to turn heel, there you go. You got yourself a job. You did your job done. Because the crowd just turned 360 on this guy and just booed the hell out of him. Why this match ended the way it did is simple. This match between these two is too good for an NXT show to have a conclusion. These two, I have a feeling, will be facing each other at NXT TakeOver Chicago. And this was just a taste, just a little taste. You don't want to have the dessert yet. You want to have the appetizer, the full meal, and then the dessert. These guys are the piece of resistance, the dessert of NXT Takeover Chicago. These guys will steal the show, and I'm counting on that because these two, from what you saw tonight, can't wait to see what these guys do at NXT Takeover Chicago 2. Which the fact that they're calling it NXT Takeover Chicago 2 makes me think Money in the Bank is going to be in Chicago for the next umpteen years, so we can have Chicago 3, 4, 5, and 6. Anyway, Lars did say he wants that the next NXT champion is right here, and then does the discount double check championship thing to end that. Connor Reeves versus Roman Mendoza, not really still don't have any first off, I think they changed Connor Reeves' music already after one try. He also, instead of wearing a t-shirt, was wearing a jacket that had fur on it instead of the finest on the back, had 2 chains, one with, I guess Percy Watson said was a diamond encrusted K, which is fine, they're upgrading him. Maybe next time he'll come out with a pimp suit on. I don't know. He wins with what they call Hawaiian drop. Not much to say there. Connor Reeves is still not impressing me. Give it time, though. Give it time. Kathy Kelly is outside William Regal's office, starts talking about what happened with Lars Sullivan and Ricochet and the Velveteen Dream earlier. Then Ricochet is seen outside William Regal's office. He wants to talk to Regal. He's knocking on the door. This kind of was this bugged me a little bit because he's knocking on the door asking for Regal. Velveteen Dream comes up and says, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" Ricochet says, "I want Lars Sullivan after what just happened." Velveteen Dream says, "I think we have something in common." I didn't hear Regal say come in or anything. And the next thing you know, Velveteen Dream goes to grab the handle to open it, but Ricochet's like, "No, I got this." Opens the door for Velveteen and him to go in. And it's like, why were you knocking on the door if all you had to do was open the door to go in? That kind of made no sense. I had a little promo for Heavy Machinery, who run into TM61, who make fun of them losing to the War Raiders. Those of it then makes a challenge to TM61 for next week, so it looks like we get TM61 versus the Heavy Machinery for next week. I expect the Heavy Machinery to probably lose that match for the simple fact is the TM61 just turned heel, and you don't want to have them lose just yet. Undisputed Era versus Pete Dunne, Danny Burch, and Orny Lorcan. Like I said, Burch and Lorcan have their own Titantron now. It's not one comes out and then the next comes out. And I thought Danny Burch was Birch. I could be wrong, but now it's Burch. I could be wrong. Strong tossed his t-shirt at Dunne and tags out for the match. Strong does tag back into this match. This was a really fun match. This was fun as hell to watch. Strong, let's have Dunne and Strong start the match up. Strong throws his shirt at Dunne, pisses Dunne off, so he tags out. Pete Dunne tags out. So eventually, Strong does tag in, and he starts taunting Pete Dunne until Pete Dunne tags in, and then it was like Pete Dunne got a hot tag, and then he takes some heat, and then another hot tag happened. All 3 members of the Undisputed Era get caught in the finger snaps first off, and then later in the match they get put into submissions. But Roderick Strong was able to get out, kicked. I think it was Orny Lorcan. Yeah, Lorcan into Dunne. Dunne fell into Danny Burch, knocking everybody off, breaking up all of them. Wheelbarrow DDT for the 3 count. Your winners are Danny Burch and Orny Lorcan. Looks like, just from the look of this match tonight, that these two are going to be getting a tag team championship match at NXT TakeOver Chicago too, because they pinned Kyle O'Reilly. So far nothing for the North American Championship. So I don't know what they're doing with Adam Cole, but we still have 4 weeks to go. But it looks like, without any announcement, that this is going to be the feud going into NXT TakeOver Chicago, is that we're going to get Orny Lorcan and Danny Burch versus the Undisputed Era. And if I'm WWE management, I would flip the titles just to give these two a hell of a title run, and then I'd say at TakeOver Brooklyn you would have the Undisputed Era win the titles back. They don't have to hold the titles right now completely, but I would say give Lorcan and Burch that title win for a few months, and then at TakeOver Brooklyn have Undisputed Era win the tag team titles back in whatever way you have to. So you can go from there. Next week, it will be Lars Sullivan versus the Velveteen Dream and Ricochet in a handicap match. I can already tell you this now. I don't even have to read spoilers or anything, but Velveteen Dream hates Ricochet, and Ricochet and Velveteen Dream do not like each other. And I know it's if the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and all that good stuff. But I can just tell you right now, Velveteen Dream is going to turn on Ricochet, and he's going to make him pay, and it's going to end. Lars Sullivan's going to end up winning that match because of the treachery of the Velveteen Dream, which will set up the match for NXT TakeOver in Chicago for these two. Well, that was your NXT review. We are getting out of here. It was a heck of a show. We did have a beautiful main event. We had a tease for NXT TakeOver Chicago with Ricochet and the Velveteen Dream. I have no doubt in my mind, spoilers, no spoilers, or whatever, that those two are going to be facing each other at TakeOver Chicago, and I honestly cannot wait. What you saw tonight in about 2, 3, 4 minutes, or 2.5 to 3 minutes that these two faced off is going to be nothing compared to what they do at TakeOver. Can it be a match of the year candidate? Outside of any other year, I would say yes, it would be match of the year candidate for WWE, but with the two Johnny Gargano TakeOver matches this year and one more coming up in Chicago, I don't think that that's going to be possible, especially with the fact that we know Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa will be going one-on-one again in whatever the match they're going to be. Like I said, I would like to see Hell in a Cell because this feud actually calls for it. This is an actual feud, blood feud, that calls for a Hell in a Cell, but since it is NXT, we won't see that. Shayna Baszler versus, I'm already going to call it now, Lars Sullivan's going to probably face Aleister Black just because of how they set this up. Velveteen Dream versus Ricochet. We have Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch versus the tag team champions of Roderick Strong and Kyle O'Reilly. Shayna Baszler versus Nikki Cross. And that's it for now. No North American Championship as far as I know. But like I said, we still have 4 weeks. Nothing has been announced, but that's what I feel is everything's going to go because that's just how it feels like after tonight. My name is DeFranz. Find me on twitch.tv/DeFranz08. Find me on Twitter @DeFranz as well. Hit that subscribe button. Comment down below. Let me know what you thought of NXT tonight. It was a very good show. Not everything was a hit tonight. I mean, Lacey Evans versus whoever her jobber was, and Kona Reeves versus Rayo Mendoza was the down points of the show. But other than that, the opening and the end of the show was perfect with the tease of Velveteen Dream versus Ricochet and the fact that it seems like they turned Lars Sullivan like that just by interrupting a match that everybody wants to see. And don't worry, folks, we will see it at TakeOver. Until then, my name is DeFranz, and I'm getting out of here. You guys have